Rais wetu tuhutubie. Asante sana. Mr. President.
Asante sana William, na kushukuru. Ndugu yetu mkubwa na Rais wa Jamhuri ya Uganda, Mheshimiwa Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, wageni wote ambao wametoka nchi za nje, amewahi kututembelea na kuwa pamoja nasi siku ya leo, Wakenya wenzangu, let me take this opportunity to welcome and appreciate every one of you for joining us today to celebrate this important occasion in our calendar. June 1st is one of the most memorable and inspiring days of our nation's life. Indeed, history records this day as the beginning of our journey to sovereignty and independence. On that first Madaraka Day, we assume the moral, legal, and political responsibility for our destiny as a nation. On that day, we proclaimed that we would be totally responsible for our destiny and that we would join our compatriots in the fight for freedom of those countries on our continent that remained under colonial rule. We embrace this sacred mandate, signed with the blood of our freedom fighters. Fellow Kenyans, we won our freedom because we worked in unity and shared a common vision to be a free people, to govern ourselves, and to determine our destiny. Our freedom heroes and heroines saw that Kenya was indivisible. It could not be seen through the eye of tribalism, another sectarian or parochial interests. Indeed, we dishonor our forefathers when we engage in negative ethnicity and intercommunal conflicts. These actions are a criminal betrayal of our freedom fighters' labors and a sin against our nationhood and God. I therefore once again call on all Kenyans from all corners of our country to be united. That way, we are sure of conquering the challenges of social economic development that we still face as a nation. Let it be known that engaging in meaningless conflicts only undermines our ability to grow the national cake that would ultimately be enough for all. At this point, let me make it clear the political competition will not be allowed to whip up negative tribal emotions and baseless agitation to address imaginary wrongs. We all have to abide by our Constitution, which provides a fairly modern framework for conducting our political affairs in a much more civilized manner. Fellow Kenyans, there is no doubt at all that unemployment, inequality, and poverty are still real development challenges that as a nation we continue to face. But my government is dealing with these challenges through our own national institutions, as well as careful economic planning by both the national and county governments. Our institutions, charged with the responsibility to allocate resources, identify development projects, and process appointments, are expected to always bear in mind the constitutional requirement for gender, regional, and ethnic balance. This mandate is made to make Kenya better every day, and indeed to make every Kenyan count. To the freedom fighters, this nation and its people were important enough to fight for, to suffer for, and even to die for. To us, Kenya and its people deserve all our sacrifice, struggle, effort, and resources. Madaraka is a charge on all Kenyans to make Kenya freer, safer, healthier, wealthier, and happier, but also to enable more and more Kenyans to play their part in nation building. Madaraka is our continuing struggle to crown our sacrifices with meaningful achievements and to adorn our freedom with wholesome values. We give our best tributes to our heroes and heroines when we live up to their ideals and honor their struggle. Fellow Kenyans, since its inception, my administration has been committed to safeguarding this legacy and advancing the mandate of Madaraka in thought and word and deed. We are working hard every day to make Kenya a country we can all be proud to live in and work in. The greatness of this country is defined by what each one of us contributes to build it and the benefits all of us draw from it. To achieve sustainable prosperity, experience shows that security is paramount. Security of life and property of our people is a prerequisite for any meaningful development. This is why my government will and has invested heavily in strengthening the institutions that protect the lives and prosperity of our people. We have done a lot in equipping our police so that they can be able to respond quickly to situations that require their attention. Equally, we have empowered our national intelligence and criminal investigation institutions, as well as our defense forces. Indeed, as a result of the measures that we have taken to strengthen the capacity of our police, crime rates have fallen commensurately. But fellow Kenyans, and indeed, as President Museveni has just mentioned, we face a new kind of enemy against whom conventional methods will not work. This enemy is a radicalized young man or woman who appears innocent but is devoted to death, division, and destruction. He or she has been misled to believe that they are doing God's work by killing those of different faiths. To deal with this enemy, we must keep improving our methods and tactics. That is why our primary aim must be to stop the radicalization of our young people. We cannot do this without the complete cooperation of parents, guardians, as well as religious leaders. My government takes the matter seriously and has already developed a major anti-de-radicalization program. Very shortly, all security organs, national as well as county governments, civil society groups, as well as faith-based leaders will begin to implement it. Just as my government will work with these outside groups, so too will we work with parents, teachers, and community leaders. Theirs is not a minor responsibility. Radicalization does not always wear its intentions openly. Your child might appear devotedly religious, but you must be able to tell when radicalization turns piety to evil. Together, we can meet our joint duty of vigilance against those who would do harm to us. The enemy is cunning, but if we work together, we shall overcome. I take this opportunity to salute all those who give information, who voice their suspicions, and who stay vigilant for the sake of our security and safety. You have saved lives, but we must remain vigilant, for the threat remains real. Fellow Kenyans, at our first Madaraka Day, we pledged to fight poverty, ignorance, and disease. That long war against disease continues today, and we will fight it until every Kenyan has the very highest standard of medical care, for our people are indeed our most important asset. My government will do everything in its power to protect this asset. And that is why last week I had the pleasure of commissioning new modern medical equipment in Machakos County. The equipment includes state-of-the-art theater, kidney, X-ray, and ICU equipment to enable our doctors diagnose, prevent, and treat serious ailments. This, ladies and gentlemen, is only the beginning. In time, this national program will be rolled out to every county so that soon a hospital near your home will be as well equipped as Machakos. You will not, as a Kenyan, have to travel to Nairobi or overseas for specialized treatment. However, ladies and gentlemen, given the consequences of further delay, it is clear that this scheme can no longer be politicized. Fellow Kenyans, there is no good politics which prevents X-ray or dialysis machines from reaching those who need them. To further ease the cost of health care, my government is implementing the universal health cover through the National Hospital Insurance Fund. This will ensure that those expenses not met through our free health schemes will be underwritten through public medical insurance. Just as we have fought disease, so too have we fought ignorance. My government has raised its capitation to secondary schools from 28 billion shillings to 32 billion shillings. And for primary school, we have raised it up to 15 billion shillings. All of this with the objective of making primary and secondary education truly free within the next 3 years. Indeed, from this year, parents will be freed from the burden of paying examination fees because the government will now cover this expense. Fellow Kenyans, a hungry person has no dignity and is not able to be productive. We are therefore committed to eradicating hunger in our country. My government has begun and will sustain its immense investment in food security and drought resilience until this is realized. In the most recent dry seasons, my government has been alert to ensure that food markets effectively transmit balanced nutrition between food surplus and food deficit areas. Coupled with that, my government has established vigilance and accurate response to any famine or drought. We will continue protecting our people from starvation and our pastoral communities from losses following drought. Through our strategic food reserves, animal uptake subsidy schemes, as well as the new livestock insurance, we are investing in solid reliance for our communities. My government has also intervened strongly to enhance food supply. My government has also partnered very strongly with county governments to ensure that there is adequate investment in agriculture, food production, and rural enterprise. Extension services are now available all over the country, and I want to take this opportunity to also thank the private sector for the support it has lent to Kenya's rural renaissance. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenyans of all ages and backgrounds are rediscovering agriculture. The youth especially are taking their bold, innovative spirits to the farm, and the impact has been transformative. I personally feel extremely encouraged to see our media devoting a lot of time to matters of farming, agriculture, and rural wealth. Let us each do our part in this revolution. Fellow Kenyans, everywhere we turn, Kenyans yearn for the opportunity to make our dreams come true and to make this nation great. My government is investing in that opportunity. Our initial investment is the youth and women access to government procurement and opportunities that my government has launched shortly after our inauguration. 30% of all tenders in government institutions have been ring-fenced for marginalized groups, youth, women, and persons with disabilities. Since this program was launched, some 8,464 companies have won tenders worth billions of shillings. There has been a steady and encouraging improvement in response to these opportunities. My measure of success, ultimately, will be the moment when the presently earmarked opportunities will be exhausted, requiring my government to go beyond the 30% in order to further enhance and entrench youth, women, and persons with disability into our industrial and entrepreneurial system. The opportunities go beyond the national government. I'm happy to note that county governments have also taken and prioritized empowerment of youth, women, and persons with disability in order to achieve a more inclusive and cohesive Kenyan society. Ring-fencing business opportunities, however, is not enough. My government recognized the need to provide financial support to the beneficiaries of the ring-fenced business opportunities for them to truly exploit them. The Youth Fund, the Women's Enterprise Fund, and Uwezo Fund have been capitalized with a total of Kenya shillings 13.2 billion, all dedicated to empowering youth, women, and persons with disabilities. From these funds, individuals and groups can obtain loans to start businesses. As I have said, it is my expectation that these funds will be used to harvest opportunities in many sectors of our economy. With more youth involved, we will see more intense innovation in business and technology, greater creativity in the arts, and robust performance in agriculture. Fellow Kenyans, in the spirit of empowering our young men and women, we have continued to grow the National Youth Service. Last month, we concluded the recruitment of an additional 10,935 young recruits into the National Youth Service, bringing our total NYS contingent to 31,000 in 1 year. These new recruits will go through 3 months of basic training and thereafter undertake 6 to 9 months of national service. The young NYS servicemen and women are building a new national psyche of nation building, patriotism, service culture, volunteerism, civic competence, and social cohesion, not only amongst themselves, but also working with other young people within our communities. The servicemen and women discipline other young people in the communities they serve and install the same values and principles to them, working on a ratio of 1 to 10. Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon, I will commission the 7,000 youth who have just graduated from recruits to servicemen and women. These young men and women will be going to all parts of the country. They will engage in youth empowerment programs aimed at improving informal settlements, building water pans, drilling boreholes in arid and semi-arid land areas, carrying out vector control programs, and other activities that are aimed at building the foundation for developing a prosperous Kenya. They will be in the informal settlements in Nairobi and Kisumu and in other counties across our country, working together with residents to make the informal formal. The servicemen and women will work alongside 70,000 community youth in the communities where they shall be engaged. Fellow Kenyans, Kenya is a working nation, and it is with this in mind that my government continues to work hard to create and to sustain the best environment for opportunity and productivity. This entails not only the proper infrastructure, but also the legal and policy environment to foster competitiveness, innovation, wealth generation, and employment creation. To secure opportunity and productivity, we will enforce policies to ensure that we grow consumption of goods and services produced locally. My government shall, in the new financial year, we shall ensure that we restrict, and strictly so, a minimum of 40% of all goods and services procured by government at all levels must be locally produced. Additional policies to open up new sectors, such as the creative arts and sports sector, are being earnestly pursued. We are committed to ensuring that our large pool of talent benefits from their hard work, that they rightfully receive a significant portion of the billions of shillings generated by the media, communications, arts, and sporting sectors. To further increase opportunity, we are also focused on expanding our infrastructure. Our investment in infrastructure is opening up the country in countless beautiful ways. Every kilometer of road and rail that we have built has transformed the lives of people for good. Through infrastructure, Kenya is getting more connected with itself and indeed with her neighbors. Through infrastructure, Kenya is becoming safer and our people have access to many services. As we complete the railways and open up new roads and airports, for example in Kisii, Kwale and Voi, the vocabulary of regional marginalization and low potential areas will become well and truly extinct. To support all those who do their bit to move Kenya forward, my government has committed itself to build 2 new railway lines from Mombasa to Malaba and from Lamu to Lokichar. Last week I visited Voi to inspect the progress on the Nairobi-Mombasa section of the standard gauge railway, and indeed I am happy to report that by 2017, the standard gauge railway will have reached Nairobi. Another harbor, road, as well as railway projects is programmed to be implemented under the Lamu Port LAPSSET project. This initiative will completely open up northern Kenya and transform it into one vast hub, creating opportunities not just locally but regionally. We should all look forward to the takeoff of these transformative projects to create the millions of jobs that we really need. My government is deliberately taking steps to attract foreign investment. For this reason, we have started a full campaign to make Kenya an irresistible investment destination, and we are making tremendous progress in bringing down the cost of doing business in Kenya. One of the most troublesome aspects of the cost of doing business is the cost of energy. Despite the shocks of a volatile global petroleum market, we are on course to extracting crude petroleum in various parts of our country. Our ambition has been to be a world leader in the generation of plentiful, cheap, clean, green and reliable electricity. Towards this end, the government has invested heavily in energy generation over the last 5 years. This has expanded our generation capacity in Kenya, and Kenya now has a secure energy reserve margin, besides bringing down the cost of power by over 30%. As a result, we are able to offer businesses cheaper off-peak electricity, to expand production, light our streets, electrify all our primary schools, and connect to electricity more than 1 million new households throughout Kenya in the coming year. Last week, I launched the Last Mile Connectivity Project. The 40,000 transformers I commissioned will end up lighting our villages across the country. To ease access, the cost of electricity connection has dropped from Kenya shillings 35,000 to Kenya shillings 15,000. And even with that smaller amount, we have directed that the Kenya Power and Lighting Company should be able to allow that money to be paid in installments so that every Kenyan has the power he or she needs to improve and to prosper by investing in enterprises that add value and bring prosperity. That project complements our school electrification program, under which every primary school in the Republic will have electricity within the next few months. It will also enable our pupils to receive the digital program that we promised as part of our transformative agenda. This transformation is real. The investments that we are making are real. You can feel it in your home, street, and place of employment. The work has not stopped, and my government will continue to expand power generation with a focus on clean energy. Large-scale manufacturers will set up in Kenya and export to our region and international markets. They will come with job opportunities for our people. However, fellow Kenyans, even as we work hard to transform this country, it is important to remember two things. The governor's agenda is about Kenya and its people. It is about you, the ordinary mwananchi of this country. The billions that we are investing to place the welfare of the wananchi at the front and center of all national activity is hard-earned money sacrificed by people for the promotion of their well-being. It must be managed responsibly and in a manner that takes each shilling as far as it can go and brings maximum value to our people. My government is committed to the mandate of prudently overseeing national affairs. The biggest threat to the commitments that we are making is mismanagement, waste, and theft. Ladies and gentlemen, public office is a trust for the benefit of the people of this republic. This trust enables prudent stewardship based on professionalism, integrity, and diligence. The foremost danger to our republic today is the large number of public officials who have become comfortable with laxity and corruption. On this Madaraka Day, I call on every Kenyan, be you in the public sector or private sector, to reflect on the question of upholding the tenets of good governance. Today, I urge everyone to commit to turning over a new leaf and expel the culture of bribery, extortion, kickbacks, and other conspiracies that contrive against the public interest. As I see it, fighting corruption and restoring integrity has three principal components. The first is by delivering accountability for crimes already committed. Secondly, by enhancing vigilance and prudence in order to detect and disrupt corruption that is underway. Finally, we must establish a robust framework of making Kenya graft-proof going forward. The institutions that help us fight corruption can themselves undoubtedly become corrupt. While my government recognizes all the institutions which fight the war against corruption with us, we expect them to maintain high standards of integrity. On our side, we recently commenced very vigorously action to bring accountability to various allegations of corruption involving government officials. My government is committed to follow through and take the entire initiative through the due process. It was the beginning, and we are serious about this, and we intend to succeed. My government has put in place integrity assurance and corruption prevention frameworks throughout the public service. But let the truth be told, unless we fight corruption together, unless every Kenyan joins me in the war on graft, then we will not win it. Lack of transparency and inefficiency breed corruption. By digitizing public records and the migration of public information and services online, will bring us closer to an administration of integrity free of corruption. The IFMES system and other government digital payment platforms, e-procurement, the KRA Simba system, e-immigration, the transnational cadastre at the Ministry of Mining, as well as the digitization of registries at the Ministry of Lands, are slowly restoring efficiency and credibility to government institutions. These services have been augmented by Huduma centers where public services are delivered in a manner modeled as closely as possible on the expectations of our new constitution on public service. As a result, my government has created space for the best practices in service delivery to become part of government mandate. So far, 21 Huduma centers are operational, providing a range of 45 different services. They are located in cities and towns including Kisumu, Mombasa, Kakamega, Nyeri, Kisii, Embu, Eldoret, Nakuru, Machakos, Turkana, Bungoma, Kajiado, Siaya, Kitui, Wajir, Isiolo, as well as having 4 here in Nairobi. By the close of this financial year, my government intends to have opened a total of 44 Huduma centers, and new Huduma centers are currently in progress of being completed in Kibera, Marsabit, Murang'a, Samburu, Nandi, Busia, Kilifi, Garissa, Homa Bay, Migori, Kirinyaga, Kwale, Narok, Kiambu, Kitale na mataoni yote ya Kenya. Tuendelee namna hiyo. With these measures, my government has expanded access to government services, enhanced transparency and accountability, and saved many stakeholders time and trouble. As we simplify delivery of government services, we are also making it easier for people to do business in Kenya. Fellow Kenyans, I've taken this day to remind ourselves about something that we may all have forgotten. That self-government is about you and me. Madaraka is about all of us. Everything that we do, we should do it in the name of Kenya and for the benefit of all the Kenyan people. We must not waver from the mandate of Madaraka. We must keep the Madaraka candle burning. We must keep marching on in pursuit of a better, peaceful and prosperous Kenya, as indeed was envisioned by our forefathers. Today in our time, we have the power to bring down those walls that stand in the way of us realizing our timeless vision of a better, united Kenya. We must bring down the walls of poverty, tribalism, as well as the walls of intolerance. Fellow Kenyans, as we head back home, go with the knowledge that my government believes in you and indeed cares for you. I assure you that my government will not waver from the mandate of Madaraka, and we will keep working for you and investing in you. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we owe it to our forefathers to realize what they struggled for. Our liberation from the yoke of colonialism must translate into the betterment and prosperity of every Kenyan. Let us today rededicate ourselves to this vision and work together to make our dream a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, today also, as the Deputy President has mentioned, tuko na wageni ambao tumeishi na hawa hapa kutoka wakati nchi yao ilipata shida kule South Sudan. Na vile mjuavyo, tumekuwa tukijaribu kuwapatanisha kama viongozi waweze kuungana pamoja na walete amani, na ndio waweze kuendelea na maendeleo ya nchi yao kwa njia ya amani na njia ya kujumuisha watu wote. Siku ya leo tumewaalika hapa tukiwa pamoja na wenzetu wa Tanzania wakiongozwa na katibu mkuu wa chama tawala CCM ndugu Kenana ambaye yuko hapa, tukiwa pamoja na rais mdogo deputy president wa nchi ya South Africa ndugu Cyril Ramaphosa, pamoja na waziri wa nchi za nje wa Ethiopia na waziri wetu wa nchi za nje wa hapa Kenya Amina Mohamed. Leo hii tukimaliza hii sherehe, tunatarajia wale marafiki wetu ambao wameishi hapa pamoja nasi watapanda ndege pamoja warudi mpaka Juba, na tunawatakia kila laheri na kuwahimizia waweze kujitahidi kuleta amani. To our friends, we are saying we are looking towards you to be the instruments of peace and stability in the Republic of South Sudan. War has never benefited anybody. Peace is what your people fought for their freedom for. They did not fight to shed blood. They fought it to have peace and to have prosperity. And it is your responsibility as leaders to provide it. And as you move forward, you can count on Kenya, our region, and our continent's support. Don't let us down. Kwa hayo machache na mengi, mimi sina mengi ingine ya kusema. Nataka kuwashukuru nyote na Wakenya wote. Tuseme ya hapana, juzi unajua nilisema ya kwamba mimi sitaki kuongea siasa mingi. Wakati wa siasa utakuja. Sasa ni wakati ya kazi, na tunataka kuhimiza ya kwamba ile mipangilio ambayo tuko nayo kama serikali, wenzetu sisi tutaifuatilia. Mimi nataka niwahakikishie ya kwamba jambo muhimu kwetu sisi zote ni kujua ya kwamba maendeleo hatutaweza kuyapata tusipokuwa na umoja, tusiposhirikiana, tusipopendana, tusipowacha mambo ya ukabila, tusipowacha siasa duni za kujaribu kuincite watu kwa njia ya kikabila. Naendelea kuwahimizia, hakuna serikali ya Mkamba, ya Mkikuyu, ya Mkalenjin, ya Mjaluo, ya Mdigo. Serikali ni ya Mkenya pahali popote alipo, na yastahili sisi zote kama viongozi tuwache siasa duni. Tukitaka kushindana, tushindane kwa sababu ya sera, lakini sio kwa sababu ya kuingia na kuleta siasa ya kugawanya Wakenya. Let us compete on the basis of policy. Let us compete on the basis of ideas, but not on the basis of division of our people. There are no two countries. We are one nation. And it is our responsibility to ensure that we remain one nation. Ya mwisho, usalama ni wetu sisi zote. Na ule adui ambaye tunapigana naye sio adui wa kawaida. Sio adui ambaye anaingia ati achukue mali yako. Sio adui ambaye anaingia ndio aibe kwako. Huyu ni adui ambaye anaamini kwa kichwa yake ya kwamba akifanya maovu yale ambaye anatenda, anagojewa kule juu ni Mwenyezi Mungu. Huyu ni adui ambaye ameharibiwa na kupatiwa siasa kupitia dini Na sisi zote tuwaelewa ya kwamba hakuna dini ambaye inamwamini Mwenyezi Mungu ambaye inaweza kusema inahubiri ya kwamba yastahili uue au ukate shingo ya mwenzako. Hiyo ni lugha ambayo imewekwa na watu wachache kuharibu vichwa vya watoto wetu. Na mimi nawaomba Wakenya wote, lazima tuwe macho, lazima tuangaliane, lazima tujiulize kama kuna watoto wetu ambao wamepotea, tuweze kupasha habari, na ndio tuweze kujua wako wapi, na ndio tuweze kujikinga, kwa sababu hatutaweza kujikinga kama hatutaungana, kama wananchi hawatashirikiana na maofisa wa usalama, mpaka tuhakikishe ya kwamba tumepambana na huyu adui na tumemuondoa kati yetu. Kwa hivyo wenzangu, tuendelee kuombea amani na umoja, tuendelee kuombea ushirikiano mwema. Na tena nataka kushukuru mzee wetu rais wa nchi jirani ya Uganda, kwa vile tuendelea kushirikiana pamoja na yeye na viongozi wengine katika region hii yetu kuhakikisha ya kwamba tumeunganisha wananchi wa region yetu, tumeweza kuwaletea maendeleo na ufanisi, na tumeweza kuhakikisha ya kwamba pahali ambapo nchi zetu zilikuwa miaka 50 iliyopita, majaliwa ya Mwenyezi Mungu kwa miaka michache ijayo tuwe na Afrika Mashariki ambaye kila mwananchi ataweza kufurahia, kujivunia, akijua ya kwamba we are moving and making steady progress and bringing peace and prosperity to our people. Kwa hayo machache na mengi, Mungu awabariki na Mungu aendelee kuwalinda. Asanteni sana.
Basi tusimame tafadhali kwa ajili ya wimbo wa taifa. Tusimame sote tafadhali wananchi kwa ajili ya wimbo wetu wa taifa.
Wakati Mheshimiwa Yoweri Museveni, rais wa Jamhuri ya Uganda, wanaondoka hapa uwanjani, niombe sote tuwe tumetulia.
Na mtazamaji, kula kilicho na mwanzo kinabudi kuwa na kikomo. Ndio hivi maadhimisho ya miaka 52 ya Madaraka yanafikia kikomo.